Hello and welcome to Sullivan's Farm. I'm going to call this the torture edition because I've probably had the toughest farm week I've had since 2015 when we started back farming again. I can almost be light-hearted about it now, but I wasn't smiling an awful lot during the week. We calf scour in the shed and it spread through the 20 of them kind of overnight, and they all took their turns of not drinking, of lying down, of needing electrolytes, and slowly but surely coming out of it at the other end again in the last day or two. But this isn't to whinge or to complain. What I'm going to show you is what I did, and hopefully that might be of some use to somebody else, because it wasn't much fun during the week. I'll say that, and that's putting it very mildly. But this is where I was keeping track of the various ones as they cycled through it from Saturday PM last week. Or no, sorry, I suppose Saturday really it started with the first one, and then there's the last couple of tag numbers. So B for bloat, S for slow, half for drank half their milk, 0, drank none of it, Tuesday AM. So you can kind of see, pretty much went through a cycle. They'd start off slow, and then maybe the following morning they drink half, and that following evening they drink nothing. So then they go on the electrolytes. There we are. I had to stomach tube just the one of them. Something I'd never done before, but again, YouTube is wicked handy in that regard. It isn't just for watching fantastic farm videos like this. YouTube is for. I looked up, and ironically, the man I saw showing people how to stomach tube a calf properly was Tommy the Vet, as he goes by on Twitter. So we'll get to what else Tommy the Vet did for us with the calves as well. But that was the start of it, keeping track of which one was and which one wasn't drinking, and most of them weren't drinking their full allocation anyway. Show you them there now. This one's lying down all right, but she's just full. They're picking away the hay again, which they weren't doing. They're picking the ration. I won't go into the pen now because they'll only come sucking my overall again, which I suppose is a good sign. They certainly weren't doing that during the week. They were drinking, some of them, but it just wasn't doing them any good. They were dull, they were lifeless. They wouldn't jump up, or they wouldn't get up really when I came in to feed them. So you were all a bit sickly, weren't you, missus? But you're coming around again. I'd be guessing they probably lost about a week of Thrive. They still haven't fully recovered. I'm building them back up slowly to their full allocation of 2.5 litres of milk per feeding in the morning and in the evening. So they're on 5 litres. And I think that's about 600 grams of powder. I think that's the way some people measure it. They're getting there. They're back up on that just since I fed them there now 5 minutes ago. And it'll just take them another little while, and we'll slowly catch up then. As to what caused it, I don't really know. Ultimately, I suppose it could be just one of those things. Moving from the new shed to this shed certainly didn't help. But I had no choice. It was just the wind went around to that couple of days of the year when it comes from the north and the east, and it was blowing straight in onto them. So they had to come in here. The weather came wet and mild after that, and it was kind of humid. So that didn't help. And then they're sharing shed space. They're not obviously in the same shed, but they're sharing shed space or air space in the same shed as the bigger store cattle. I'm assuming that didn't help either. And after that, I'm assuming it's just one of those things. Here's the next pen now. Stop standing in it, missus. Go on. You can't see it. It's a bit dark in here now. The evening is getting dark again, but they're all picking the hay. They're all picking the ration again. They're getting the fresh bucket of water as ever. And I'll probably put more lime and straw under them there tomorrow as well. Out then to see the fourth bunch, and they're the same. They're all lining up, picking away at the hay and the ration. They have their water there in the corner, and yeah, more lime and straw there tomorrow at some stage too. I never had an outbreak of scour like that in the shed before. I used the odd case the last couple of years here and there, but nothing serious. I hadn't a clue where to start or what to do, or beyond trying to keep the milk into them. But I did a bit of reading about it. I asked a couple of people online. What I landed on was these precision microbes that were being promoted or being talked about on Twitter. I asked about them on boards.ie as well, on a thread there, and it was reassuring to see that a couple of people that I don't really know personally on there, but people I consider like serious, proper farmers, had outbreaks of scour this year. and they used precision microbes, and it helped. And I thought, right, I better get that. So bit of phoning around, and it arrived in the vet's office the following day. So I started giving it orally directly to some of them if they weren't drinking, and I started mixing it into the milk for more of them. And slowly but surely they started coming around. Now, as well as that, I put as much straw and lime under them as I could every single day, and sometimes in the evenings too, coming over here checking them at 8:30 and 9 o'clock. An awful lot of patience. It was hard when some were drinking and others weren't, and they were dribbling on it and that kind of thing. So that kind of meant pushing the others back and standing there for 5 minutes to give an extra mouthful to the one that needed it. And I'm hoping that helped stop her getting dehydrated as well. If they didn't drink for morning and evening, I was putting them into a little pen here that I'll show you. I need to clean it out again. I was cleaning it out between calves. As I said at the start, most of them drank the electrolytes in there out of the little single bucket I have. One of them didn't, and I had to stomach tube her, but that was manageable too. And in fairness, you could see when the electrolytes hit her stomach, a couple of seconds later, she was a bit like Popeye when he drank the spinach. Do you know the way his arms used to kind of burst out and his legs would burst out and off he'd go to beat the daylights out of Brutus? She was a bit like that. As soon as the electrolytes hit her stomach, her eyes kind of lit up and she got that lift. So little things like that were encouraging on what was a kind of just a lost week. I was going around a bit like a zombie at times. Quick look at it here. This is the precision microbes thing I was using. It's liquid form, and you can give it to them as a preventative, I think, as well as you don't have to wait till they get scoury to start giving it to them. So it might be something I might try next year when the calves arrive first, just to help them with that little transition. And we'll see if that prevents it breaking out in the first place next year. But we'll go from there. So that's kind of it. They're over the worst of it now, I hope. What we'll do, we'll go out, we'll look at the yearling cattle now, because while these were all moping around and just about hanging in there, the rest of the cattle didn't just stop automatically feeding as well and let me at it. So it was a wet week. We've had maybe a day and a half of dry weather. Things have dried out a little bit as well. So we'll go out and look at them in a minute. They're doing okay. They have access to, or they were out in the field beside where the fodder rape was. It's so wet and mucky out there. I'm not even going to go out to the yearling cattle now, but it was wet, to put it mildly. Having said that, you can't really see from there, but grass has really pushed on in the last week as well, because it's been milder. It's just they kind of need canoes to get out to them, or currachs, I suppose. But the dry weather is coming. The evenings are getting longer. The mornings are grand and bright. And I've 7 bullocks going to the mart this week as well. So that'll lighten the load. There'll be 5 heifers then, store heifers left inside. Some of them haven't paid for themselves yet, which is a sad state of affairs. So in a few more days, they'll go out with the 30 yearling cattle, and then we'll try and fatten them off grass, maybe with a few cubes. When we get into May and June time, we'll see how they're looking then. And at that stage, we'll have the extra 10 Angus bull calves that are arriving as well in the next few days, and we'll have the full complement then. And life will be simple, says he. We'll have 30 calves, fine, big, strong, healthy calves, the future of the farm. And then we'll have 35 grazers outside that'll need to be managed fairly tightly to keep grass into them as well. And we'll go from there. So look, thanks a million for watching. If anybody has any ideas as to what else can be done to try and prevent scour and then try and treat scour if you are unfortunate enough to get it, throw it into the comment section below, and we'll talk to you soon. Mind yourselves and good luck.